For centuries, archaeologists, theologians, and secret societies have asked one forbidden question: what lies beneath the Temple Mount? Could the Ark of the Covenant, the most sacred relic in biblical history, still be hidden there, untouched, waiting to be revealed? In this video, we are going to uncover the truth behind one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in human history, and explore why the world's most powerful nations fear what lies beneath Jerusalem. We're exploring whether the Ark of the Covenant, believed lost for over 2,500 years, could still be hidden under the Temple Mount, and why no one dares to look, the political, religious, and spiritual reasons that make this mystery untouchable. For over 2,000 years, the Temple Mount in Jerusalem has been a place of mystery, reverence, and conflict. Beneath its ancient stones lie secrets that may change everything we know about history and faith. Among those secrets, one name echoes across time: the Ark of the Covenant, the sacred chest said to hold the very presence of God. But could it still be hidden somewhere deep below this sacred hill? Before we can even begin to search for the Ark of the Covenant beneath the Temple Mount, we must understand the ground it once stood upon, the sacred and turbulent history of this place, where heaven and earth were said to meet. The Temple Mount, known in Hebrew as Har Habayit, is not just a hill of stone. It is the spiritual heart of three of the world's great religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. For millennia, this site has been a symbol of divine connection, a place where kings ruled, prophets prayed, and empires rose and fell. Long before modern Jerusalem took shape, this area was part of the ancient city of Jebus, a fortified settlement perched above the Kidron Valley. Around 1000 BCE, King David captured the city and made it his capital, renaming it Jerusalem. The Bible tells us that David brought the Ark of the Covenant, the golden chest said to contain the stone, tablets of the Ten Commandments, into the city amid great celebration. The Ark represented the very presence of God among his people, but David was not allowed to build a temple for it. That task would fall to his son, Solomon. When Solomon became king, he began what would become one of the most ambitious and sacred architectural projects in ancient history: the First Temple of Jerusalem. Built atop Mount Moriah, a place already steeped in spiritual significance, believed to be the site where Abraham once prepared to sacrifice his son Isaac, Solomon's temple was designed to be the ultimate dwelling place of the divine. It took 7 years to complete, with thousands of skilled laborers and artisans contributing to its grandeur. The inner sanctuary, known as the Holy of Holies, was the most sacred space within. No one but the high priest could enter it, and even then, only once a year on the Day of Atonement. Inside this chamber rested the Ark of the Covenant, a chest made of acacia wood, overlaid with pure gold, with 2 cherubim whose wings touched above the mercy seat. It was here, between those golden wings, that the presence of God was believed to dwell. Imagine the scene: the high priest, trembling as he enters through the thick veil, carrying incense and blood for the atonement of Israel's sins. Behind him, the heavy curtain closes, and before him stands the Ark, radiating power, mystery, and divine authority. This was not merely an artifact. To the Israelites, it was a living connection to God himself. For centuries, the Ark remained in Solomon's temple, the heart of worship and the pride of the nation. Pilgrims from across the land would come to offer sacrifices, sing psalms, and pray in the shadow of the Temple Mount. It was said that God's glory, the Shekinah, filled the temple so intensely that even the priests could not stand within. The Ark's presence symbolized protection, guidance, and divine favor. But history would not remain kind to this sacred site. After Solomon's death, the kingdom of Israel divided. The northern and southern tribes often warred, and Jerusalem became the target of invading powers. The First Temple saw centuries of turmoil, desecration, and restoration. Yet through it all, the Ark's presence remained the center of faith. Then came the year 586 BC. The Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar II invaded Jerusalem. His armies breached the walls, plundered the temple, and set the city aflame. The golden treasures of Solomon's temple were carried off to Babylon, but something curious happened. In all Babylonian records and biblical accounts describing the destruction, there is no mention of the Ark of the Covenant being taken. It simply vanishes from history. This silence is deafening. How could the most sacred relic in Israelite history disappear without a trace? Scholars have debated this for centuries. Some believe it was destroyed in the chaos of war. Others think it was hidden, perhaps by the priests who foresaw the coming invasion and concealed it somewhere beneath the Temple Mount itself. As centuries passed, the Second Temple was built under Zerubbabel and later expanded magnificently by King Herod. Yet, despite all its splendor, the Holy of Holies in the Second Temple stood empty. The Ark was gone. The sacred chamber that once housed the divine presence now held only a stone, the foundation stone, believed to mark the spot where the Ark had once rested. That stone remains under the dome of the rock today. Beneath it, many believe, lies a vast network of chambers, sealed tunnels that have never been fully explored. Could one of them still hold the Ark that Solomon once placed in his temple? What's most astonishing is that even modern archaeology cannot answer this. The Temple Mount is one of the most restricted and politically sensitive places on Earth. Excavations are forbidden. Ground-penetrating radar is not permitted. Even minor repairs to the site ignite international controversy. And so, beneath these sacred stones, history sleeps. To this day, the Temple Mount stands as both a monument to faith and a mystery shrouded in silence. Every inch of it whispers stories of ancient worship, divine encounter, and human longing. The same stones that once echoed with the songs of Solomon's priests now conceal secrets that no one dares to uncover. The Ark of the Covenant, the throne of God on earth, may still lie somewhere below, untouched since the days of Solomon, sealed away from the eyes of man but not from the memory of heaven. And if it does, what might we find when the truth beneath the Temple Mount is finally revealed? For centuries, the Ark of the Covenant was the heart of Israel's faith, a symbol of divine power and presence that guided kings, priests, and prophets, but one day it was gone. The disappearance of the Ark is one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in human history. No artifact, no treasure, no sacred object has inspired such endless speculation, devotion, and fear. How could something so central to the spiritual identity of an entire people simply vanish from the pages of history? To understand how the Ark disappeared, we have to journey back to a time of chaos and betrayal when Jerusalem faced its darkest hour. Around 600 BCE, the kingdom of Judah was under immense pressure. The mighty Babylonian Empire, led by King Nebuchadnezzar II, was expanding westward, conquering every kingdom in its path. Jerusalem was next. Inside the city walls, fear spread like wildfire. Prophets warned of doom. The temple priests knew that the holy city could fall at any moment. The Ark of the Covenant, housed in the Holy of Holies, was not only a sacred object. It was a symbol of Israel's covenant with God, a reminder that the divine presence dwelled among them. Losing it would not just mean losing a relic. It would mean losing their connection to the Almighty. And so, when Babylon's armies began their siege, it is believed that the priests took desperate measures to protect their most sacred possession. Some ancient traditions suggest that the Ark was hidden deep beneath the temple itself. According to certain rabbinic texts, the prophet Jeremiah foresaw the coming destruction and commanded the priests to conceal the Ark in a secret chamber below the Holy of Holies, a place known only to the high priests of the temple. They sealed it away, buried under layers of stone, and left no written record, ensuring that its location would remain a mystery even to future generations. But that's only one version of the story. Another account claims the Ark was taken far from Jerusalem long before the Babylonians arrived. Some sources point to Egypt, where the Ark may have been carried by a group of priests seeking refuge on Elephantine Island, an ancient Jewish settlement on the Nile. Others trace its path even farther south into the highlands of Ethiopia. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church to this day claims that the Ark, the real Ark, rests within a small chapel in the city of Axum, guarded by a single monk who never leaves the sanctuary. No outsider is ever permitted to see it, and those who have tried to uncover the truth have either been turned away or silenced by mystery. But if the Ark truly left Jerusalem, it raises a haunting question. Why do so many ancient Jewish traditions insist that it never did? Could there have been more than one Ark? Or were the stories of its escape designed to conceal a far more dangerous truth, that the Ark was hidden where no one could reach it, beneath the very stones of the Temple Mount itself? After the Babylonians conquered Jerusalem, they destroyed the temple and carried away every treasure they could find: gold vessels, sacred tools, and precious metals. Yet in all Babylonian records, in every inventory of plundered goods, the Ark of the Covenant is conspicuously missing. It was never listed among the spoils of war. Even the Bible, which details the fall of Jerusalem with painful precision, goes silent about the Ark. The Book of Kings mentions that Nebuchadnezzar took the temple treasures, but the Ark is absent from the list. It is as if it had already been removed, as if the priests had succeeded in their plan to hide it before the enemy breached the city walls. Centuries later, when the Jewish exiles returned from Babylon and rebuilt the temple under Zerubbabel, the Ark was nowhere to be found. The Holy of Holies was empty. The high priest entered once a year, but there was no Ark, only the foundation stone, the massive rock believed to mark the spot where the Ark once rested. The Talmud even records that the Ark had been hidden away and that its location would remain unknown until the coming of the Messiah. Archaeologists and theologians have spent generations trying to piece together the Ark's final journey. Some point to secret tunnels running beneath the Temple Mount, built during Solomon's reign to transport sacred items in times of war. Others believe the Ark was moved to a secure hiding place in the wilderness, perhaps in the caves near Qumran, where the Dead Sea Scrolls were later discovered. There are even legends that the Ark was taken by a group known as the Levite Guardians, priests sworn to protect the relic through the ages, moving it from place to place whenever danger arose. In the medieval period, the mystery of the Ark captured the imagination of knights, scholars, and secret orders. The Knights Templar, who established their headquarters on the Temple Mount in the 12th century, were rumored to have discovered ancient artifacts beneath the site, perhaps even the Ark itself. Some historians suggest that their sudden rise to power and immense wealth may have been tied to whatever they unearthed in those forbidden tunnels. Others claim the Templars were searching for the Ark and never found it, but left behind clues hidden in architecture, symbols, and scripture that point back to Jerusalem. The disappearance of the Ark is not just a story of loss. It is a story of protection, of faith, and of fear. The ancient priests who hid it may have done so not only to save it from destruction, but to shield humanity from its power. The Ark, according to Scripture, was not an ordinary relic. It was a vessel of divine energy, capable of bringing victory to armies and death to those who touched it unlawfully. Legends tell of soldiers struck down, cities destroyed, and plagues unleashed when the Ark was mishandled. If such a force truly existed, it's easy to see why those who guarded it would go to any lengths to keep it from falling. What happened to the Ark of the Covenant after it vanished from Jerusalem remains one of history's most tantalizing questions. Every theory leads to another mystery. Every discovery opens another door. Beneath the Temple Mount, in the deserts of Egypt, in the mountains of Ethiopia, the Ark's trail is marked not by evidence, but by silence. And in that silence, the legend has grown stronger with each passing century, drawing explorers, believers, and dreamers ever closer to the truth that has yet to be revealed into the wrong hands. Hidden beneath the sunlit courtyards and sacred domes of the Temple Mount lies a world that few have ever seen, a labyrinth of chambers, tunnels, and sealed passageways that have slept undisturbed for thousands of years. For centuries, this place has been a magnet for prophets, kings, conquerors, and explorers, all drawn by the same burning question: what secrets lie beneath the holiest site on earth? The Temple Mount, as we know it today, is layered with history. Every stone tells a story. But what truly fascinates historians and theologians isn't what stands above the ground, it's what's buried beneath it. Beneath the sprawling plaza, beneath the marble and the gold, lies an ancient foundation so complex that modern technology still struggles to map it completely. These underground spaces are older than many civilizations. They are carved into the very bedrock of Mount Moriah, the same mountain where Abraham was said to have been tested by God, the same place where Solomon built his magnificent temple, and perhaps where the Ark of the Covenant was once hidden. Legends speak of hidden vaults that run beneath the Temple Mount, secret chambers built by King Solomon himself. Some ancient texts describe how Solomon, known for his wisdom and mastery of sacred knowledge, constructed elaborate tunnels and hidden compartments within the temple complex to protect its treasures. These tunnels, it is said, led deep into the mountain, allowing the priests to transport sacred items safely in times of war or invasion. And if the Ark of the Covenant was ever in danger, these tunnels would be the perfect escape route, a divine sanctuary beneath the earth. The idea of secret passages under the Temple Mount might sound like legend, but archaeological evidence suggests that the stories aren't entirely myth. In the 19th century, explorers like Charles Warren and Charles Wilson were among the first Westerners to attempt mapping the underground structures of Jerusalem. Warren discovered a network of shafts and passages beneath the city, including one that became known as Warren's Shaft, a deep, vertical tunnel leading to a hidden water source, possibly used during ancient sieges. His findings hinted that beneath the Temple Mount lies an even larger and more complex system, one that remains sealed and forbidden to this day. Imagine walking through the cool darkness of those underground tunnels, narrow stone corridors echoing with the sound of dripping water, ancient carvings barely visible in the flicker of a lantern. Some of these chambers date back to the time of Solomon. Others were expanded by Herod the Great when he rebuilt the Second Temple. Over the centuries, different civilizations have left their mark: the Israelites, the Romans, the Byzantines, the Crusaders, and the Ottomans. Each layer of stone holds the weight of 1,000 years of faith, war, and mystery. But what makes the Temple Mount truly enigmatic is how much of it remains off-limits. Since the 7th century, the area has been under Islamic stewardship, and the Waqf, the Islamic religious authority, strictly prohibits any excavation beneath the mount. Even the smallest attempt to dig or study the substructure sparks international outrage. Archaeologists have often been forced to work in secret, sneaking glimpses of sealed passages or using non-invasive methods to scan the ground. Yet these glimpses have only deepened the mystery. One of the most puzzling features beneath the mount is a vast underground hall known as Solomon's Stables, an enormous vaulted space with rows of ancient arches and columns that can hold thousands of people. Despite the name, historians believe it wasn't used as stables at all, but as part of the massive substructure supporting the temple platform. Some researchers claim that deep within this area lies a blocked passage leading to older chambers, perhaps remnants of the First Temple period. Could one of these sealed rooms be where the Ark of the Covenant was hidden before the Babylonian invasion? No one knows because no one is allowed to find out. Narrator, tone rises slightly, evoking curiosity. Throughout history, a handful of explorers have tried to unlock the secrets of these tunnels, often at great personal risk. In 1911, a British aristocrat named Montague Parker led a secret expedition beneath Jerusalem, driven by the belief that the Ark was hidden under the Temple Mount. Parker and his team used ancient texts and mystical codes to locate what they believed was the entrance to a hidden chamber. For months, they dug in secret under the cover of night. But when their activities were discovered, outrage erupted across Jerusalem. Parker was forced to flee, his findings confiscated. To this day, no one knows exactly what he found or whether he came closer than anyone else to uncovering the Ark's resting place. Modern researchers have used radar and digital mapping to study the area indirectly, revealing voids and cavities beneath the surface, empty spaces where no one knows what lies within. Some of these voids align perfectly with where the inner chambers of Solomon's temple would have been located. Could they be natural hollows in the rock or man-made hiding places carved with purpose thousands of years ago? The answer is buried beneath layers of stone, politics, and faith. Even the Western Wall, one of the most sacred sites in Judaism, is connected to this underground enigma. Behind the visible wall lies a maze of tunnels extending deep beneath the Muslim quarter of Jerusalem's Old City. These tunnels bring visitors within feet of where the Holy of Holies once stood. The silence inside them is heavy, ancient, almost sacred. Some who have walked there describe feeling an inexplicable energy, as if the stones themselves are alive with memory. What we know is that there are still sealed entrances under the Temple Mount, doors blocked by massive stones, stairways that lead to nowhere, corridors that end abruptly as if deliberately closed. Who sealed them, and why? Were they simply structural, or were they meant to protect something sacred, something too powerful to be touched? The Temple Mount's underground world is like a frozen moment in time, a place where ancient history waits in silence, untouched by light or air for thousands of years. Every whisper of discovery, every forbidden excavation, every rumor of hidden chambers only fuels the belief that something extraordinary still lies below. The Ark of the Covenant, the sacred artifacts of Solomon's temple, the remnants of an ancient faith, all could be waiting beneath the surface, sealed away by hands that understood the danger of their own discovery. The stones beneath Jerusalem are not just remnants of the past. They are guardians of secrets the world may never be ready to uncover. The Temple Mount is not just an ancient ruin. It is a living, breathing symbol of faith, identity, and power, and in our modern world, it remains one of the most fiercely contested pieces of land on Earth. To many, it is the spiritual center of the universe. To others, it is a flashpoint for political tension, religious division, and centuries-old conflict. What lies beneath its sacred stones has become a question so explosive that no nation, no government, and no archaeologist dares to seek the full answer. Above the surface, the Temple Mount is a place of worship and prayer. The golden dome of the rock shines in the sunlight, and the Al-Aqsa Mosque calls the faithful to prayer. For Muslims, this is the Haram al-Sharif, the noble sanctuary, the third holiest site in Islam, where the Prophet Muhammad is believed to have ascended to heaven during the night journey. For Jews, it is the site of Solomon's temple, the dwelling place of God's presence and the heart of their ancient heritage. For Christians, it is the ground where Jesus taught and walked. No other place in the world carries such overlapping layers of sacred meaning, and no other site carries such potential for conflict. After the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 CE, the Temple Mount became a symbol of longing for the Jewish people, a place they prayed to return to but could not enter freely. Centuries later, when Islam rose, the Umayyad caliphs built the Dome of the Rock and the Al-Aqsa Mosque upon the same mount. For over 1,000 years, this area has been under Islamic administration. Even after Israel captured East Jerusalem during the 1967 Six-Day War, control of the Temple Mount was not taken. Instead, it was handed back to the Islamic Waqf, a Jordanian religious trust that has administered the site ever since. This delicate balance of control is what keeps peace in Jerusalem, and what also ensures that the mysteries beneath the Temple Mount remain sealed. Archaeologists from around the world have long pleaded for permission to explore the subterranean chambers that lie below. They've argued that understanding the site could rewrite human history, confirming the existence of Solomon's temple, uncovering ancient artifacts, or even revealing the resting place of the Ark of the Covenant. But every request to dig, scan, or study beneath the mount has been denied. To dig beneath the Temple Mount would not be an ordinary excavation. It would be an act with global consequences. Even the smallest excavation could be seen as a religious violation, a provocation that could ignite conflict across the Middle East. For Muslims, any digging under the Dome of the Rock or Al-Aqsa Mosque is seen as a direct threat to their sacred spaces. For Jews, any discovery proving the presence of Solomon's temple would confirm their ancient claim to the site, a truth that could reshape the political landscape of Jerusalem forever. The result is a stalemate, an uneasy truce maintained by fear, faith, and the weight of history. There have been moments when this fragile balance nearly broke. In the late 1990s, when the WEF carried out renovations inside the Temple Mount compound, truckloads of earth were removed from beneath the surface. That soil, filled with ancient artifacts, was dumped in the nearby Kidron Valley. When Israeli archaeologists analyzed it, they found pottery shards, coins, and fragments dating back to the First and Second Temple periods, proof that sacred Jewish history still lies under the mount. The discovery sparked outrage, debate, and renewed calls for archaeological access, but those calls were silenced by political tension and international pressure. Every stone of the Temple Mount is surrounded by watchful eyes. Israeli police control access points, the Waqf oversees the daily administration, and thousands of worshippers pass through its gates each week. Yet beneath all this activity, the ground remains untouched, frozen in time. Archaeologists say that if they were allowed to excavate, they could uncover a treasure trove of information, evidence of Solomon's temple, the remains of the Ark's chamber, or even the buried foundations of ancient altars. But such a discovery, while groundbreaking, could also be catastrophic. If the Ark of the Covenant were found beneath the Temple Mount, it would not just be an archaeological event. It would be a spiritual and political earthquake. Imagine what that would mean: proof that the biblical stories were true, that divine power once rested within those walls. For some, it would be validation of their faith. For others, it would be a challenge to their beliefs. The entire religious balance of Jerusalem, and perhaps the world, could shift overnight. Governments know this. Religious authorities know this. That is why the Temple Mount is both protected and forbidden, both sacred and untouchable. Even technological exploration is restricted. Ground-penetrating radar, drone mapping, or even underground cameras are forbidden on the Mount. Researchers who have tried to study it remotely have faced legal and diplomatic barriers. The official stance is that preserving the sanctity of the site outweighs any archaeological curiosity. But for those who seek the truth, that restriction is a wall between history and discovery, and it's not just about religion. The Temple Mount sits at the heart of one of the world's most complex political conflicts, the Israeli-Palestinian struggle. Every stone, every prayer, every gate on that hill carries political meaning. Any attempt to dig or explore could be seen as an act of domination, a claim of ownership, a challenge to sovereignty. This is why even the most respected archaeologists refuse to pursue the question openly. To search beneath the Temple Mount is not just to look for history, it is to risk igniting the present. So, the Mount remains untouched, its secrets sealed by faith, fear, and politics. Beneath the Golden Dome, beneath the ancient platform, lie chambers that have not seen light in over 2 millennia. Perhaps they contain nothing but stone and dust. Perhaps they hold relics that could reshape everything humanity believes about its past. But until the world is ready to face the consequences of such a discovery, no one will dig. No one will disturb the silence. And while governments debate and religions defend their ground, the question endures, buried beneath the mount itself, waiting for the day when truth outweighs fear, and the stones are finally allowed to speak. For centuries, whispers have drifted through the ancient streets of Jerusalem, stories told in quiet voices, passed from generation to generation. Stories of men who claim to have seen secret chambers under the Temple Mount. Stories of rabbis who spoke of hidden relics and sealed tunnels that only the chosen few could enter. And stories of explorers who risked everything in search of one thing, the Lost Ark of the Covenant. These accounts, half legend and half testimony, form a web of mystery that refuses to fade. There are those who say the Ark has never left Jerusalem. According to certain ancient Jewish traditions, before the Babylonian invasion, the prophet Jeremiah warned that the temple was doomed. Acting under divine instruction, he and a group of priests took the Ark, along with other sacred objects, and concealed them in a chamber deep beneath the Temple Mount. They sealed it with stone and left no map, believing that the Ark should remain hidden until the day of restoration, when the Messiah would return. Some rabbinic texts even mention that the Ark rests directly below the foundation stone, the sacred rock inside the dome of the rock, the exact spot where the Holy of Holies once stood. In modern times, a number of religious scholars and rabbis have claimed that the Ark's location is known, not in a vague, symbolic sense, but literally. There are accounts of temple officials, even in recent decades, who insist that deep beneath the mount lies a hidden vault. One rabbi reportedly stated that the Ark was seen during a secret exploration in the late 1980s, when workers carrying out maintenance beneath the Temple Mount stumbled upon a sealed chamber. They described an ancient space lined with stones unlike any seen elsewhere in Jerusalem, and at its center, a golden chest resting on a stone platform. The story spread quickly and was quickly silenced. No photographs, no proof, only whispers and warnings. Then there are the explorers, men who risked everything to uncover the Ark's resting place. Among the most famous was the British nobleman Montague Parker. In 1909, Parker assembled a team of adventurers, biblical scholars, and fortune seekers to conduct a secret excavation under the Temple Mount, using clues from the Book of Enoch and the Copper Scroll, ancient texts that supposedly listed the treasures hidden during the fall of Jerusalem. Parker believed he had found the entrance to a tunnel leading to the Ark. His team dug through the night, working in absolute secrecy. But when word of his excavation reached Jerusalem's residents, chaos erupted. Rumors spread that foreigners were stealing sacred relics and riots broke out across the city. Parker fled the country, leaving behind questions that have never been answered. Did Parker's team actually find something beneath the mount? Some reports suggest they reached a massive stone door sealed with an ancient script. Others say they uncovered artifacts that mysteriously vanished when they escaped. British records from the expedition remain vague, as if the truth was intentionally obscured. But the fact remains, Parker's excavation was the closest anyone has ever come to uncovering what lies beneath the Temple Mount, and it ended in secrecy and silence. There are also stories from those who claim to have seen strange things within the tunnels of Jerusalem, places where compasses spin wildly, lights flicker without explanation, and the air grows unnaturally cold. Some say the Ark emits an energy, a force that can still be felt even after millennia underground. Ancient texts describe the Ark as a vessel of immense power, capable of striking down those who approached it unworthily. If it truly rests beneath the mount, it may not only be hidden by stone, but protected by something far more mysterious. Theories about the Ark's location have grown more complex with time. Some researchers believe that during the First Temple period, Solomon constructed a vast network of hidden rooms and secret stairways designed for exactly this purpose, to safeguard the Ark in case of invasion. Others propose that during Herod's reconstruction of the temple centuries later, the Ark's chamber was accidentally sealed beneath new foundations, entombed forever under tons of rock. But then, there are those who link the Ark's mystery to organizations far beyond the reach of ancient Jerusalem. The Knights Templar, for example, who established their headquarters on the Temple Mount during the Crusades, have long been accused of uncovering something extraordinary beneath it. Legends say that they discovered ancient relics, documents, gold, or perhaps even the Ark itself, hidden since Solomon's time. Their sudden rise to power, immense wealth, and secret rituals fueled the idea that they had found something that changed them forever. Whether this is truth or myth, no one knows, but it adds another layer to the enigma of what lies below. In more recent years, technology has offered tantalizing glimpses beneath the mount. Geophysical scans have hinted at voids, chambers, and passageways buried beneath the surface, but these discoveries can never be verified, as excavation is forbidden. Even the faintest signal of something unusual underground has fueled new theories. Some say these voids are simply ancient cisterns, while others are convinced they're the remnants of Solomon's hidden vaults. And then there are personal testimonies that defy easy explanation. A few researchers claim that during restoration projects near the Western Wall, they were led into restricted areas and shown sealed gates, massive stone doorways untouched for thousands of years. One of them described hearing a hollow echo behind the wall, suggesting a large empty space. When he asked what was behind it, his guide simply replied, "Something you are not meant to see." Whether these stories are true, exaggerated, or completely fabricated, they all point toward the same haunting idea, that the Ark of the Covenant was never lost to time or carried away to foreign lands. It was hidden deliberately, carefully, beneath the one place no one can touch. Protected by faith, guarded by secrecy, and watched over by the eyes of heaven and earth alike. Every generation brings new explorers, new prophets, new theories, but none can reach what lies below. Some say the Ark will reveal itself only when the world is ready to receive it. Others believe that it remains where it was placed thousands of years ago, sealed by the hands of priests who understood that mankind was not meant to wield its power again. The eyewitnesses, the rumors, the forbidden accounts, all converge beneath one place, the Temple Mount. Somewhere in that silence, under the weight of centuries, the truth waits. Hidden behind stone, time, and the fear of what might happen if it ever comes to light. There is perhaps no place on earth more sacred or more untouchable than the Temple Mount, It's the spiritual heart of three of the world's major religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Beneath its stones lies history layered upon history, from Solomon's first temple to Herod's grand reconstruction, from Roman conquest to Islamic rule. But under those layers, many believe, lies something far more powerful than history itself, the Ark of the Covenant. And it's that belief that has fueled one of the most controversial and dangerous debates in modern archaeology. Should the Temple Mount ever be excavated? For decades, the question has lingered like a shadow over Jerusalem. Beneath the plaza, beyond the reach of ordinary visitors, tunnels and chambers twist through ancient stone. Many of these were uncovered accidentally, not by explorers but by maintenance workers, engineers, and secretive religious teams. Every new discovery brings both fascination and fury. Excavating the mount isn't just an archaeological matter. It's political, religious, and explosive in every sense of the word. It's said that during the 1967 Six-Day War, when Israeli forces captured Jerusalem's Old City, a group of religious soldiers refused to enter the Dome of the Rock, not out of fear, but reverence. They believed the Ark might still rest beneath that sacred stone, and to enter unprepared could be fatal. After the war, small teams of rabbis and archaeologists quietly began surveying the area. Some even claimed to have used ground-penetrating radar to detect large voids beneath the mount, but official permission to dig was never granted. Every attempt to excavate beneath the mount has been met with outrage, suspicion, and even violence. In 1981, one such attempt almost ignited a war. Rabbi Yehuda Getz, the chief rabbi of the Western Wall, believed he had located the ancient passage that led directly beneath the Holy of Holies, the innermost chamber of Solomon's temple, where the Ark once stood. Under cover of night, he and his team began clearing a hidden passage known as Warren's Gate. They worked in secrecy, removing centuries of debris, convinced that the Ark was within reach. But word spread, as it always does in Jerusalem. When Muslim officials learned that Israeli workers were tunneling under the Temple Mount, the Waqf, the Islamic authority that oversees the site, reacted with fury. Confrontations broke out. The tunnel was sealed, and both sides accused the other of desecration. To this day, some of Getz's followers insist that he reached a chamber where he saw something extraordinary, something covered in gold, resting on a stone pedestal. But when pressed, Getz himself refused to confirm or deny it. He simply said, "We were very close." This was not the first or last time the Temple Mount's underground mysteries led to conflict. Archaeologists who even suggest digging there are often silenced, ridiculed, or accused of political manipulation. The problem is simple. Whoever controls what's beneath the mount controls the narrative of biblical history itself. If someone were to uncover the Ark, or even definitive evidence of Solomon's temple, it could shift global religious power. It could challenge faiths, rewrite scripture, and ignite tensions that have simmered for centuries. That's why today, the Temple Mount is one of the most archaeologically restricted sites on Earth. Even Israel's own Antiquities Authority treads carefully. No modern excavation can take place without risking international uproar. But still, the questions persist, whispered among scholars, theologians, and believers. What if the Ark really is there? What if it's resting in silence beneath the stone courtyards walked by millions every year? There are those who believe the truth is already known, but deliberately concealed. Some researchers point to classified Israeli records that allegedly document underground findings from the 1970s and 1980s. Others claim that the Ark's presence is known to both religious and political authorities, but revealing it would be catastrophic. Imagine it, a single discovery capable of uniting some and dividing billions. Even technology cannot solve the mystery. Radar imaging, seismic mapping, and subterranean sensors have all detected anomalies beneath the mount, areas where stone gives way to empty chambers, where echoes suggest vast hollow spaces. But every time a new survey is proposed, it's blocked before it begins. Religious authorities argue that the sanctity of the mount must not be disturbed. Political leaders fear what might follow if anyone digs too deep. And so, the greatest archaeological mystery of all time remains locked beneath centuries of stone and silence. Still, there are those who try. Unofficially, some explorers have continued to search. They enter the ancient tunnels that run near the western wall, narrow, damp, and endless, following clues from old maps, forgotten scriptures, and secret oral traditions. They speak of hidden gates sealed with lead, of inscriptions warning that only the pure may enter, and of walls that seem to hum faintly as though alive. One group even claimed to have found a strange metallic resonance deep underground, as if something hollow and golden rested just beyond reach. The Muslim authorities, meanwhile, have their own fears. The Dome of the Rock and the Al-Aqsa Mosque are sacred sites, and any disturbance beneath them could threaten their structural integrity, or worse, be seen as an act of desecration. In the late 1990s, when Israeli archaeologists extended the Western Wall tunnels closer to the mount, massive protests erupted, leaving dozens dead. The message was clear: the ground beneath the Temple Mount is off-limits. Not just for science, but for the sake of peace. And yet, that prohibition only deepens the mystery. Every restriction, every sealed gate, every denied excavation fuels belief that something extraordinary is hidden below. If there was nothing there, why the fear? Why the secrecy? Why the silence that hangs over every discussion of what lies beneath? The Temple Mount remains both a sacred symbol and a forbidden frontier. It is the one place where faith, history, and politics collide with dangerous force. Scholars see it as an archaeological goldmine. Believers see it as holy ground. Governments see it as a potential flashpoint that could ignite the entire Middle East. And somewhere in the midst of all that, buried, silent, untouchable, may lie the most powerful artifact in human history. No one dares to dig, no one dares to prove it. But every year as tensions rise and faith persists, the question echoes louder through the stones of Jerusalem. Is the Ark of the Covenant still there? Waiting beneath the Temple Mount, guarded not by walls or soldiers, but by the fear of what might happen if the truth is ever brought to light. For centuries, the story of the Ark of the Covenant has woven itself through history like a sacred thread, connecting prophets and kings, warriors and explorers, believers and skeptics alike. From the deserts of Sinai to the hidden tunnels beneath Jerusalem, its presence has shaped faith, fueled wars, and inspired quests that still continue today. Yet, after all the searching, all the digging, and all the whispers of discovery, one truth remains: no one truly knows where it is. The Temple Mount stands as both the key and the barrier to this mystery, a place so sacred that even asking the right questions can ignite global tensions. Beneath its ancient stones may lie the Ark, untouched since the days of Solomon, sealed away by those who feared the power it carried. Or perhaps it was carried across the sands of time, hidden in a distant land, waiting for an age when humanity is ready to understand it. But maybe the real mystery isn't just about where the Ark is, it's about what it means. The Ark has always symbolized something far greater than gold, relics, or history. It represents divine connection, the link between heaven and earth, the embodiment of faith itself. Whether it rests beneath the Temple Mount or in some forgotten chamber across the world, its true power has never been lost, because it lives in the hearts of those who still believe in the sacred, the hidden, and the eternal. And so as the centuries pass, the question remains, not just for archaeologists or theologians, but for all of us: is the Ark of the Covenant still beneath the Temple Mount? Or has it always been right before us, waiting for those with faith to see it?